All right, Mr. Chairman, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Welcome everybody to Parks and Recreation Commission meeting on the proposed dog park design for Boundary Street. My name is Gary Maggiolino. I am the chair of the Park and Rec Commission. This open meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022, an act relative to extending certain COVID measures adopted during the state of emergency signed into law on July 16, 2022. All members of the Parks and Recreation Commission are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The act allows Park and Recreation Commission to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is offered so that public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to the Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. At this time, I'd like to confirm the Parks and Rec Commission members who are participating. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Faith Stevens. Here. Mark Idwaki.
Here.
Sean Durkin. Tracy Camarano.
Here.
And myself, Gary Maggiolino, I am here. At this time, I would also like to affirm the staff. When I call your name, please confirm in the affirmative. Allie Lane.
Here.
And Scott Charpentier.
Present.
Perfect. I now just want to quickly cover some of the ground rules for today's meeting. At this time, the chair will invite each speaker or applicant on the agenda by name to make a presentation and speak to their application. Participants will provide their full name and hold until name is called. Each speaker will be asked to mute their phone or computer when not speaking and to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Those responding will be asked to wait until the floor is yielded to them by the chair. Speakers who wish to respond to the comments of others do so through the chair, taking care to identify themselves. Each vote taken by the board or committee will be conducted by a roll call vote. For public comment, after all members have spoken, the chair will afford the opportunity of public comment as follows. By phone, if available, you can dial *9 to raise your hand and be recognized. By Zoom, please utilize and click the raise hand at the bottom of your screen and wait to be recognized by the chair. The chair will ask each members of the public who speak to identify their name and addresses only. Once the chair has listed all the public commentaries, the chair will call on each name and afford 3 minutes for each comment. Now, before we proceed, I would like to take a moment and quickly approve the minutes from the Park and Recreation Commission's previous meeting of September 6th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from September 6th.
Okay,
I'll
we have a
second that
motion and a second. All approve?
Aye.
Aye.
Gary Maggiolino, aye.
Mark Idwaki, aye. There we go.
Is Faith
Faith is here, but for some reason it's telling her.
having technical difficulties?
Yeah, she is, but she can hear us and see us, but we can't hear or see her.
Okay, and Allie Lane
Yes.
and Scott Charpentier.
Okay.
Okay.
Abstain. I'm going to resend Faith the link so she can get back in, at least during the presentation.
Okay. At this time, I would like to also welcome and introduce our town planner, Lori Connors.
Hello, folks.
And-
It's good to see you.
And now, as the commentary is completed, I would like to now turn the proceedings over to the associates from Weston and Sampson, Jeanette Canto and Jonathan Law.
Thanks, Gary. Good evening, everybody. I'll just give a quick overview as to where we're at, and then I'll hand the main presentation over to Jeanette. So just a little bit of background. We've been working on this project since around the September 2022. Most of the people on the call might have been on the first community meeting, which was on October 11th of last year. This is the second and final public meeting. At that first meeting, we presented 4 sites, and this site was selected to proceed with and to enhance a dog park, a design for a dog park. We're currently going to present a design to you today, and this design has come from feedback from what we heard at the first public meeting, but also from discussions that have been ongoing with representatives of the town for the last couple of months. So again, we're going to present this design for you today, and the idea is to get any feedback, comments, both negative and positive, so we can, produce a dog park that everybody, especially dogs, is super proud to go to. So with that, I'll hand it over to Jeanette.
Hi guys, very excited to be here. So as Jonathan mentioned, we are picking up a follow-up presentation from the first meeting, and we have a lot of good things to share for the current proposed site plan. And we're going to be talking about materials and site amenities, and we wanted to open up for community discussion for some options that we are providing to the public. So the team for this project is Scott Charpentier, Ali Lane, Lori Connors, and from Weston and Sampson, Jonathan Law, and myself. And as Jonathan mentioned, the community meeting was the first public meeting where we heard input, and now before completing the 75% construction document, we want to present this presentation and gather as much feedback as we can. So this is the selected site. It's in between Northborough and Marlborough. It's in the Boundary Street side. It's adjacent to an existing wetland and a building with a well, and it's surrounded by beautiful wood area that we are incorporating into our design. Going to the next page. Okay. So we want to present to you what we have so far. So we have a small dog area and a large dog area. Combined, it's about 1.2 acres. And the concept and the main idea of this dog park is to embrace the wood area, the existing conditions, and to maintain as many trees as we can. We're proposing 2 main services, which is the wood mulch, wood chips that blend in the woods, and stone dust, which is permeable, and if compacted can be also ADA accessible. We have a 10 space parking lot and an overflow area when needed. And everything is gated by a 5 feet tall chain vinyl coated fence. As you can see here below, there's an easement. So for there, we're proposing a removable fencing that can be removed when needed, because it's an easement. And we have also access. The number 3 shows are the access points. So we have 2 at the entry and 1 that has access to the wooded area below. And we're going to go through some of the elements with higher pictures so you can actually tell.
And I'll just add to that, as Jeanette mentioned, we're trying to maintain as many existing trees as we can, have as little impact on grading and topography as possible, because as soon as we start regrading the site, then that means we're going to have to remove more trees than we really need to. The two fenced-in areas that are at the north of the site will be ADA accessible, while at least the stone dust areas will, and then the mulch areas are designed to be more of a rustic type of woodland play area for the dogs. And within these areas, we're going to have boulders, so we can use those for seating, but also as objects for dogs to jump and play with. And with that, I'll pass it back to Jeanette.
Right. So these are some of the materials that we're using, the wood chips and the mulch areas, which is mainly the 70–80% of the project. Permeable, easy to maintain, and it blends in with the context. Stone dust surfacing, as mentioned before, it can provide ADA access. So it's great to put it next to the parking spaces, and it's in both areas, the small and the large areas of the dog park. As an alternative, we want to bring the synthetic turf. So we're going to talk about these in the previous slide. We have one big pergola, and this is divided in between the small and the large dog area with benches in between. As I mentioned, everything is gated, 5 feet fencing with signage, multiple benches, trash receptacles, a leash post on the entrance, waste stations. We're proposing one pet water filler in each side and natural boulders. And I'm just gonna give this slide to John.
So as we mentioned, the design currently is showing the stone dust as the main or the current base bid for the surface for the small and large fenced-in dog park. Canine grass is an alternate that we have proposed, but canine grass is more expensive than stone dust at installation. So of the 5 surfaces that you see on this slide, the canine grass is by far the most expensive to install. However, there's less maintenance involved with that. So, you know, the cost over time incrementally reduces versus stone dust, wood chip, wood fiber, gravel, etc. Another benefit to the canine grass, much like the stone dust, is it's an ADA accessible surface. So people with disabilities, wheelchairs, strollers, things like that can circumnavigate the canine grass just as easily as they can by bituminous pavement, concrete, and stone dust. And then, you know, in the wooded areas that we want to be more natural, that's where we're proposing the wood chips. But again, the other 3 materials listed below are also alternates that we can look at depending on pricing and budget that the town has for this project.
And then we have the wood mulch and the engineering wood fiber. Because the small dog park area, it's smaller and compacted. I mean, yeah, it's surrounded by fencing, so it's going to have a mower. It's easy for us to have engineering wood fiber, which is smaller and nicer for the paws of the dog. And then in the bigger area, once we enter to the wooded area, we are proposing wood chips. Easier to maintain in a bigger area and less expensive. And then some of the fun parts that we want your input in is agility equipment for the dog. Here are several options, and we just want to hear what's your thoughts on this. I think we are gonna choose some of them, not all of them, but we want your input. So There is the weed pose, the king of the hill, the dog walk, the doggy crawl, the rover jump over, and the hoop jump. Some of them are very similar, but people have different preferences, same as dog sizes. Thank you, and we're open for discussion.
Jeanette, do you want to go back to the plan slide so people can digest that?
So if anyone has any comment, you can be identified by raising your hand within the Zoom application.
Mr. Chairman, you can also receive comment and discussion from your commission members as well.
Yes. Any comments or?
We have two, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
Would you like me to manage the promotion and demotion process?
Sure.
Okay. I saw Sarah come up first. So Sarah, I'm going to promote you to a panelist.
All right, let's see if this works. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. So this is Sarah Yulia Sabel, resident here in Northborough and a dog owner. Question about the equipment here. It looks like the Rover Jump Over has a movable piece. Do any of these others have pieces that might be movable and also potentially need replacing or might get lost or misplaced? Or the rest of them more permanent in nature?
We are considering to be permanent. That's a good point that you're bringing about the rover jump over. That might be part of the consideration, choosing that one. But there's, yeah, we're thinking about, yeah, non-movable.
The Rover Jump Over, the bar is movable, but it's not, you can't remove it. You can move it up and down, but you cannot remove it from the apparatus. So no one's going to take it and walk away with it.
All right, thank you for the clarification.
All right, we have Carter Brandon. I will invite him in.
Can you just bring the plan up again, please?
Can you repeat?
Where did Carter go?
Can people hear me? Or?
Oh, yep.
Okay. I was kind of wondering about the sort of like environmental impact of the plan, in terms of like, I mean, I don't exactly know how large the site is, but what kind of like wildlife habitat would be impacted or caught up by the kind of fenced in
area? All the proposed fencing is 5 foot tall. If you're referring to wildlife in the form of deer, a 5 foot fence is not an impedance to deer in any way. I'm not sure what wildlife outside of that you're referring to, Carter.
I was more just curious about what area, is there any kind of environmental impact that could be either further looked into or has been looked into of if you're, I mean, it looks like you're trying to minimize clearing trees, obviously. But I was just somewhat concerned about that.
The bluish or purple polygon you see to the left
Mhm.
of the dog park is a wetland resource, and you'll see a white broken line with a dimension to it. That's the wetland setback, so we're
Mhm.
outside of both the resource as well as the wetland buffer.
And then I guess a related question was the sort of town-owned property that the site they were looking at is much larger than the proposed dog park. And I was wondering if the kind of conservation commission or anyone's looking into establishing that as permanent conservation area, or if that's already been done or anything like that.
The entire parcel was purchased in the early 60s by the town of Northborough for a proposed sanitary sewer treatment plant. The Department of Public Health at that time did not allow us to build it, as Marlborough was building one at the same time across of Boundary Street. So the town still owns that land. It's still viable land in the event 100 years from now we need another sewer treatment plant. So it has an infrastructure value to the community. So no, there has not been any considerations for conservation restrictions on the parcel.
Okay. And then one more question was about that it's off of Boundary Street, which I believe does not have any sidewalks on it. And this is kind of a question of how easily, I mean, it's also kind of far away from anything else, of how kind of easily accessible it would be for people to walk a dog to the park.
This section of Boundary Street is actually owned, operated, and maintained by the city of Marlborough. The town of Northborough's limit of Boundary Street ends at the Aspet River Bridge. So this is actually a city frontage on Boundary Street for the town of Northborough land. There are no sidewalks on Hudson Street as you approach this location either.
Okay. Yep, just question if that's something that could be looked at in the future.
It's a good point, Carter. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. So Chairman, we have Lee Welsh, I believe, wants to come in. I will promote her to panelist.
Well, unmuting always helps.
Can we stop sharing so we can see the full panel? Is that okay, Ally? Thank you. Where did Lee go?
Hello?
Hello, Lee.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. My name's Lee Welch. I am part of Northborough Unleashed. I just had a few questions about the layout that I can't see anymore. So I guess I'll try to talk through what I remember. So you come into the parking lot and then there's a gated area. I think it was like labeled number 3, maybe. That's the double gated area. Is that correct? Yes.
Why don't we share the screen again? I'm sorry.
Oh, if you could, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Oh, thank you very much. All right, so 3 is the access gate. And was that a double gated system?
Yes,
Yes.
that's a.
Sorry, this is an example.
perfect.
Yeah, concept.
Okay. So I guess when you come through that gated area, does that give you access to the small area and the large area through the same gate system? Just
Correct.
one off to the right and then one off to the left?
Yeah.
And then, so then number 6 is the like the pavilion with some benches?
Yeah, and that's shared by both sides. So you're gonna have the fencing in between, in the middle of the pavilion.
Oh, okay, I get it now. Thank you
And
very
it's gonna
much.
be mirrored in each.
So there's
Okay.
complete separation between the large and small dog areas.
Okay, so it's almost like the pavilion, there's a fence up the middle of the pavilion.
Yes, yeah.
Correct,
And then
okay.
there'll be benches that back onto the fence that so you can sit on this concrete pad and underneath the shelter in
Okay.
either the small or large area.
Okay, so we can chat with the small dog area people at the same time.
Yes.
So I guess my other question is just about the ground cover. Is there any feedback from a vet or like a professional about what's best for the dog's paws? I don't personally know. I've seen different coverings, but I didn't know like if you asked a professional like what they would say about those two options.
I mean, both of these are fine for dogs. You know, we've designed numerous dog parks that have both canine surfacing or stone dust or wood chip. And we've never heard any complaints from the dogs. Just kidding. But yeah, I mean, both these services are great for dogs. The canine servicing is probably preferred because there's a little more give in it. But again, that comes with an increased expense that the town is still trying to figure out, you know, how to make that work within the budget. But, you know, the stone dust servicing, again, is a totally acceptable surface for dogs to run around and play in. And then as we go into the larger area, the wooded area, you know, we have mulch there, and that's perfectly fine for dogs to run around in.
Okay. Is the layout of the dog park generally flat? Or is there some like fluctuation to the land there?
Within the where we have the stone dust servicing, that will be flat because we have to have that be ADA accessible, and the code requires there's no cross slopes over 2% in any direction.
Okay.
Once we go above that, then it doesn't become accessible for humans. Within the larger area in the wooded zone, we're going to, as much as possible, keep the existing topography in there. And there is some undulations and changing grade within that zone. So that will be the more natural place where dogs can run up and down elevations rather than the depicted stone dust or canine grass area.
Okay. Thank you. And I know I had reviewed previously the requirements of the Stanton Foundation. And I think I remember something about they require that you clear the land. Maybe Lisa can, Lori can speak to that. Is that a requirement that you clear the land? I mean, I love the way those pictures look with the trees. That looks awesome. I just didn't know if the Stanton Foundation would agree.
That's not my understanding. I don't remember reading that in the requirement. With the dog park in Millbury, they did not require us to clear the land. In that particular situation, it was a meadow that we enclosed, and they did recommend planting trees. So shade is a really important feature in dog parks because, of course, when they're running around crazy, they tend to get overheated. So they do recommend incorporating shade in the dog park design. So I have been to dog parks that are partially wooded. So it's good to have a cleared area because certainly a lot of folks like to play fetch with their dogs, and it's important for an area of clearing and also to accommodate the agility equipment. But I don't think it's a rule that it has to be 100% clear.
Oh, great. No, I thought the pictures looked great. And I do like the idea of as a safety measure to have a tree or something that the dogs can like hide behind and separate each other. That's always been recommended as well. And especially for the shade component, I think it's Uxbridge that's completely cleared in the middle of a meadow, and it's blazing hot there if the sun hits you right. So I agree that some coverage would definitely be of some benefit.
Framingham's Dog Park is very similar to this. It's across from Loring Arena, except it does not have the large and small dog areas, but it does have a cleared area with natural old tree growth and undulating topography.
Nice. I think my last question is about the turf. Just so I have an idea of like how much more expensive is the turf? Is it, double every other option, or?
The turf is, I'm sorry, Jonathan.
I was going to say Jeanette had some cost information on that.
So I'll give you a little background on some of the other project costs quickly.
Sure.
The original conceptual cost estimate included a municipal water connection to the city of Marlborough in Boundary Street. When a formal request was made to the city, the mayor denied us access to municipal water in Boundary Street. So that required a bit of a backtrack in the design to install a on-site drinking water well and associated meter pit and copper service lines that added substantial cost to the project. And from my memory, correct me if I'm wrong, Jonathan, the K9 turf was approximately $100,000, maybe a little less when you would consider mow curbs, under drains, and gravel.
Yeah, it's more than double the price of the stone dust. But as I mentioned previously, over time there's less maintenance, but that'll take many years to make that difference up.
Okay, just wondering, like ballpark, the pros and cons of that. And just while I'm on about the agility, I know that's just not really my dog's thing, so I don't really have an opinion on that. But again, I do think it's important to have some structures kind of around to give the dogs something to kind of run around. So I'll let I think Nick can probably speak to the agility stuff better than I can. But thank you.
Thanks, Lee.
I think Nick would like to come in and speak. Let me get Nick in.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. I just want to start off by saying thank you guys. This looks awesome. I also am a member of the Northborough Unleashed group, and I know there's a lot of hard work that's gone into this, and very excited to see all the things you guys have created. It's very similar to what I had imagined in my head. So I don't really have a lot of specific feedback, but I had a couple of kind of questions. My biggest question was regarding the parking lot and the fact that there was 10 spots, but there was some overflow parking. I didn't really understand from the last meeting the logistics of the overflow parking, if it was something that was always available, or if there's like a gate that had to be opened, and if there was potential to growing the size of the parking lot if the attendance was very high. So I was hoping someone could kind of comment on that.
The overflow parking will be built in the same manner as the paved parking, with the exception that the top 3 inches, instead of being asphalt, will be compacted gravel burrow. So it's available for parking in the event the asphalt's not is filled, and it also provides municipal access to the double swing gate for maintenance purposes.
All right,
but
perfect.
They will be gated off and separate from the asphalt.
It's not gated off, you said, correct?
Correct.
All right, perfect. Yeah, because I think one of the concerns I have was that 10 cars, there's more than 10 cars at Kearney at any given point. So I just wanted to mention that there could be more than 10 cars there. I just want to make sure it's easily accessible. So that's awesome. I think Lee's question kind of answered in your response, kind of answered my next question related to the decision with the canine green grass rather. I wasn't sure if that was going to be a decision based upon budgets that, approved budgets, if that would kind of be the deciding factor, if we have to decide much but ahead of that before kind of applying for all the funding. So I don't know if there's a comment there because it sounded like there was still some open questions whether or not we were going to go one way or the other. I see some concerns with the budget related to the drinking water. I wasn't sure if like today or in the near future is the decision point, or if there's some future budget activities that would help decide which way to go.
Like with a lot of construction projects, you have a wish list and then you have the budget list, and we often bid out the wish list as bid alternates. So we'll put a construction bid package on the street in a format that will meet the budget, and then put some items in it that if the bidding environment is aggressive or if costs start coming down, maybe we can fit in some of the better amenities such as canine grass or other amenities. But generally the bid will be as presented with stone dust with bid alternates to supplement the project.
All right, perfect. And I think my last question is more related to snow removal. So one of the thoughts, it seems easy to remove snow from the paved parking lot. I'm not sure if the intent would be to also remove snow, plowing it for the unpaved parking lot. And then is there any planned snow removal and maybe not removal, but moving around of snow inside of the dog park so that during the winter months it can still be used?
We will plow the parking lot as we do our other recreational facilities. We will not be doing snow removal within the dog park, and plowing onto the gravel will be our snow storage area. So I don't expect to be plowing through the gravel. That generally results in a mess. But we'll plow the paved area.
Okay, so it sounds like in the winter months, if there's significant snowfall, we could be limited to parking.
Lori?
Oh, I just wanted to mention that in the dog park in Millbury that I was affiliated with for a long time, we did a similar thing. The DPW would plow the parking lot, and then we would tell folks that they could use the dog park at their own risk. So generally what that would mean is a couple of folks would bring shovels and kitty litter, and they would remove the snow at the entrance to the degree that they were interested in doing so. And then folks would use the dog park or they wouldn't. So that's, I think, probably the way we conceive the use of the dog park during the snow season.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I agree. I think myself and a lot of others would be willing to assist with that. I guess my only hang up with the parking, and I think it's not an issue today, is that there could be a potential in the future for expanding that overflow into a paved area, maybe at some point in the future, if we see the dog park attendance be high. And I'm just hoping for a lot of success here. That's why I'm poking at it, is just that we can ensure that everybody can enjoy it, and that there's not an issue where a parking issue that would limit people's use of it. I think that's all my questions. Again, very, very thoughtful. Appreciate everyone's hard work. I'm excited to see this come to fruition.
We have somebody with their hand raised, identified as 184 Boundary Street.
I will let them in, Mr. Chairman.
You're on mute, so we can't hear you.
Okay, there we go. Better?
There we go.
Okay. First, I'll apologize for being late. Just my work schedule does not get me home anytime earlier than 6:30. And I'm also going to semi-apologize and semi-not for not knowing of this process until the notice came. I did try to contact the rec department earlier when the first meeting, like I heard about it after the fact. So I might ask some questions that have already been answered tonight, and I apologize. Is there a set size and distance from residential property lines that do not have any buffer zone? Or I'm trying to gauge where in that map from the first meeting the actual dog park is going to be located.
Jeanette, maybe you can share your screen. There's that picture of the dog park relative to the full parcel size.
And Jonathan, we have the offset from the well to the fence, and add to that the offset to from the property to the well. I think we'll get a full dimension.
Jeanette, there's also another picture that shows the in pink, the full parcel, 32-acre parcel. There it is.
All right, and the property line that's, like, I don't know, looking at this one where I specifically am, so I'm so sorry. As I said, I tried looking it up before I came.
No,
today.
no worries. So the pink area is the whole property line, and we're just using, those are like 30 acres. We're just using 1.2 acres. So
I'm saying the house that I'm looking at on the map, the one I can see, I want to know what.
Ma'am, that property is 110 feet from the fence of the dog park. So there's 50 feet between the property line and the fence line, 40 feet from your property line to the well, 20 feet from the well to the property. We discussed this at the CPC meeting last week, right? It's 90 and another 20 feet, so 110 feet. I discussed this at the CPC meeting last week. We agreed to install visual barrier slats in the chain link fence. You've seen chain link fences. One example is at the town common, between the gas station and the town common. They'll put black plastic slats in the fabric of the fence. That's proposed within the limits of your property between the dog park and the property.
Just to clarify, this is not your property that's shown here. This is 164, 166 Boundary Street. So I believe, do you live in one of the duplexes?
True. They're all the only property that abuts it are going to be duplexes. Windsor.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought this was her property. I'm sorry.
So there are two other duplexes that are even further away from this. So Jeanette, can you go back to that picture, the pink map? So you can see the little white hole, and then there's a larger one. I believe you live in one of those other duplexes that are even further away. So Jeanette, can you put your arrow on the location where the dog park will be relative to that? So I believe those duplexes are a minimum of 500 feet away. So the closest duplex after the one that is shown on this screen, 164 to 166, I believe when I measured that, that was 500 feet away.
All right, and the map I'm looking at now, can you explain to me where the parking area connects? It's not drawn on this map that I see, right?
No.
So we're Boundary Street, can you read here? It's in the U. That's around the area where the park is.
So Jeanette, if you go to the next slide, then you can see the parking lot off of Boundary Street, the proposed parking lot.
Yeah.
There you go. So the parking lot entrance is going to be the furthest away from that duplex at 164, 166. So we were trying to place the dog park as far away from the duplex as possible.
Okay.
One of the limits to the design is that existing wetland
Right.
and the need to stay outside of that wetland buffer area. So we've done as good as we can to stay as far away as possible.
And
I
is
just-
the yellow line at the bottom, the farm road that's back there? By the hiking trail that exists or no?
That's an easement.
That's
Got it.
not the hiking trail, that's an MDC easement.
Okay.
And Lori is correct, I just measured it off the GIS. It's 530 feet from the property line to the property line where your home is.
Okay, as I said, I'm playing catch up, so I apologize for making you go backwards. That's all the questions I have for the moment as I try to take it in and understand.
If you have any other questions, feel free to email Public Works or Planning, and I'd be happy to provide you the information needed, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, mute helps. Are there any additional comments or questions? Oh, I see Nick is raising his hand again.
I will bring him back in, Mr. Chairman.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. I just wanted to ask one more question I forgot to ask previously. I think it was discussed in the last meeting, the potential for the different hours and, if there was going to be lighting, and my understanding was there's not going to be any lighting. Can we talk more about that? I know in the winter months, maybe I'm too worried about the winter because it is winter, but it gets, dark at 4:30. So it means that a lot of people can't utilize the dog park after work. So I just wanted to talk through that and see what options have been explored, if any, for bringing in some amount of lighting, even if it's just for like the small dog park area.
Want to take that, Scott?
Yes, so all of our recreational facilities are done at dusk. There will be no lighting at this facility. We're not going to be locking the gates, and we're not going to have a vehicle gate at the entrance. So operationally, if somebody went in there at 5 o'clock at night and, after the time change and took their dog for a walk with a Cyclops headlamp on, I don't think anybody's gonna have an issue, but the policy is, as with all recreational facilities in town, dawn to dusk.
Okay, so it's kind of conforms to all the rest of the town things. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any additional comments or questions?
Oh, we have 184 Boundary Street. Yep, she's coming back in, Mr. Chairman.
Hi, and you probably have already gone through this as well. What's the process moving forward? Like, what are the steps from this plan that you have, and what happens next, and how that all works?
We presented this project to the Community Preservation Committee twice. They're currently in public hearing. They have a upcoming meeting where they'll close the public hearing. The project will go through 75% design, so we're about 3/4 of the way there. Once the design is complete, we'll go to town meeting in April, the last Monday in April. At town meeting, the citizens will decide if they want to fund construction. I understand that Lori has some grant applications in the mix. If everything gets awarded and the process moves forward, final design and permitting will occur in the summer, and construction bidding will have to occur shortly thereafter, so late summer. I'm not sure if you want to talk through the grant timeline, Lori, at all?
Yeah, so as we advance a little bit further through design, so right now we are about to pull the trigger on a design grant application for the Stanton Foundation. So we're asking them for the money necessary to finalize the design plans, do the construction bid documents, as well as pay for the permitting process. So that, as Scott mentioned, will wrap up most likely over the summer. So right before that wraps up, we'll submit another grant application to the Stanton Foundation. So we have to wait for to know whether we have the construction funding from the town, because it's a matching grant. So they want to know for sure that the town is going to pony up their share before they will provide any grant funding. So if that goes well, then we'll continue on that track. So the plan is to apply for $225,000 in construction funding from the Stanton Foundation. So it's a significant piece of the pie. And it will drastically reduce the burden on the citizens in Northborough. So that is our aim.
The overall schedule is get design done over the summer if all the money shows up, bid this thing out in the fall, early fall, if weather's nice, get some construction going, finish it up in the spring. If weather falls apart in the fall, we bid it out over the winter time and start construction in the spring. So and have this thing opened up and commissioned, next late spring, early summer.
Yeah, the construction process I anticipate will take approximately 6 months.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll just add to that, the beauty of this project is that it can probably continue through the winter months, providing we get no extreme snow or really cold conditions. Because a lot of projects around here obviously have to be delayed because during the winter months we can't plant any trees or shrubs. We don't really have any on this project. It's more preservation. So we can continue with paving, fence installation and things like that during the colder months.
It appears we have another hand. Cindy has raised her hand.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Boundary Street. And I will bring Cindy in, Mr. Chairman. And she's with us.
You're muted, Cindy.
Cindy, you're still muted?
Still muted, yeah.
Oh, there she is.
And here.
We can hear you.
We can.
Cindy, we still can't hear you. Cindy, maybe you can log off and try to come in again, because we can't hear anything.
I'll put her back as an attendee, Mr. Chairman, and maybe it'll clear her queue or what have you. And we try to promote her again. Should be coming in shortly. And we have no audio. Oh,
Well, we just got a message saying that she was connecting to audio, so maybe it's working now.
Can anybody hear me now?
Ah, there we go.
Okay, sorry about that. It's my setting here. Okay, all right, so I had a question about the Stanton grant. If that is not approved, how is that going to impact the taxpayers? Like, how would that amount be assessed? How much would be assessed?
So if the grant is approved, then we'd have to reevaluate the design. So maybe we would have to decrease the size of the dog park, or we would have to request more funds, probably at a future town meeting. So that would definitely affect the ability of the project to go forward at this year.
Okay, so if it's not approved, then you would just put a pause on it?
I would envision, yeah, because that is a significant percentage of the cost. It's just shy of 50% of the cost. So unless prices reduce significantly over the course of the next 6 months, I don't think we'd be able to proceed with the project without serious design changes.
Okay. All right, so you don't foresee then moving forward and then assessing the taxpayers, the cost. You're not going to pass that along just to keep the project going. That was one of my concerns.
The CPC application assumes award of the Stanton grant. So the project as presented to the public thus far, both in this forum, the CPC prior public hearing meetings, as well as the Parks and Rec prior meeting, would not be able to be funded through town meeting appropriation. So the design is still good. The permitting through the first Stanton grant would be viable and useful, but we would have to reorganize when it comes to funding, and it would likely see a 1-year delay in the project to obtain proper funding.
Okay. Thank you for that. And another question that came up, I see that you've now shifted to the well water. So I'm wondering if there's a plan in place to have that lab tested, because it is across the street from the sewer treatment plant. And are you going to put anything in place to, are you looking for additional water treatment systems for that water in the event that it's not to the purest level that you would like?
Through the chair, the proposed well location is actually a little bit further away from the sewer treatment plant than the private well on the adjacent property. It will be built, it'll be designed, built, and monitored in accordance with private drinking water standards. So I don't anticipate any testing beyond that which is required by the Board of Health for compliance with private potable water, for a private potable water source.
But would the results of that be made public if somebody wanted to understand, what the testing results might be?
Yeah, so a private drinking water well, for example, the neighboring property, even though it's a housing authority, if it was a privately owned parcel, those drinking water results would not be public, but we are a municipality. So the water quality results from this well would be available to the public through a public record request and comply with the Board of Health regulations. Be aware that this drinking water well will not have access for, there won't be a bubbler, there won't be bottle fills, it'll be for dog bowls only. But it will still be a potable water source.
Okay. Yep, thank you. Those are my questions.
Are there any final comments or questions? Okay. Well, I'd like to take a moment to thank Jeanette Canto and Jonathan Law from Weston and Sampson for being with us here tonight. I'd like to thank Scott and Ally for being here, and the board as well, and everyone for attending and giving their time and energy to this meeting. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to call for a motion to adjourn from the committee.
Mr. Chairman, you have a hand up just before the motion. Would you like me to let them in?
Yes, please.
Okay. Leslie and Rick are coming in. I hope. Yep. It's Leslie and Rick Robinson, Mr. Chairman, who are on mute.
Rick, you need to unmute.
It could be Leslie.
See them unmuted, but don't hear anything.
Leslie and Rick, are you there?
They're here in spirit.
Doesn't seem to be working.
Right.
Try what I did with Cindy and demote and bring back if you'd like.
Yeah, let's try and see if they.
Okay. Sending back to the timeout room. And bringing them back in now.
Doesn't look like they went back in.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying. Oh.
There we go. All right. They are unmuted.
Leslie and Rick.
Unfortunately, it doesn't look like.
Well, if there's a technological difficulty with Leslie and Rick, Mr. Chairman, Ally and I and Lori would be happy to respond to an email if they sent it to the rec, DPW, or planning departments, and forward it along to the chair and answer any questions they may have.
Perfect. Okay, at this time then, I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Bye.
Roll call.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank everybody for attending, and with that, we will adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.